Hello, my name is John Manick Russell. For the record, John Russell for the Clackamas County Developmental Disabilities Advisory Council. This is the May meeting for the Advisory Council in Clackamas County. First order of business is we need to approve of our meeting as of, let me get the date of technology, 4/24/2003. First question should be, did you guys hopefully had a time to read it? And approval of the minutes is next. If there's any concern of it, would there be any objections or concerns of the minutes of 4/2003 that needs to be said out to us? Yeah. All right, hopefully the Robert's Rule of Orders, I know I'm not freshly in all of what it is, but it should be approved as given out to the council members. And
for the record, we do have a quorum.
We do have a quorum. Thank you very much. And now I should say what I was going to say. Sounds like we approved the records as given to the council members of 4/26/2023. Yes, 4/24/2023. Okay, now to our agenda of today. Do we need to do any approval of agenda, consent agendas and all that stuff, Amy? Nope. Okay. So let's move on to.
Did we approve the minutes? Did everyone approve?
We approved the minutes, not for this quarter, this time. So should we approve this month's minute? We approved officially, we should approve officially 4/24/2023 meeting as presented, where there was no objection as it was given to the council members. Dasha, question?
Shasta has something to say.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. There's a couple of question marks on here that say term ends ? For John and Jacob. Yeah. Just wondering if we have the answer since we're all sitting here.
A great question.
No, that should be resolved. I need to update that.
Oh, okay, cool.
Thank you very much for following up on that, Dasha. Very greatly appreciated, knowing that I had a couple of the same questions many times over. So I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks.
Absolutely. So that is the question of today's minutes that do need to be revised. Do we need to first second the revisal of the minutes because there is a certain change on Robert's Rule of Orders because there was a mentioned change? I think so in my experiences. So council members, because there has been a change of the minutes, unless you guys have any other questions of the minutes, would someone please first second for a vote for approval of minutes because there was an advised change on hopefully my timeline on the minute of my term limit and Jacob's term limit. So would someone would like to please approve the minute change of that?
I vote to approve the minute change.
I'll second it.
All right, so we need to vote for the change. Thumbs up is approval. Open mouth is not approval, and the party ta-da is a abstain. I'm gonna approve on my side. So I say yay on the minute change. Awesome. So hopefully Clackamas County will have those minutes changed before it becomes public record in ways of approval of today's minutes at hand. Hopefully you guys had time to review it, and we have that stuff. So on the first order topic, I was perusing through the internet, like we all do, and I saw something from Special Olympics and North Clackamas Park District, State Treasury, Edward Center, and also in January, Sarah how you pronounce your last name? Sorry, I apologize. But Sarah mentioned social inclusion was very important about a year ago or something. And so when I was perusing or whatnot, I saw something called a transition event that Clackamas County was involved with. And with Rise Partnership, Barber Law, etc. And to me, I'm not really familiar with what community events that Clackamas County really does during the summertime, or these type of transition or conventions or whatever we had in history. So I was hoping for a little explanation on what Clackamas County was going to be up to in the next future, these type of events, or what type as a conversation with us in ways of maybe giving out some ideas that they may or may not have thought about in the process. So I'm going to let Clackamas County come up and explain what transition events has happened post-pandemic, how has it changed over the last 4 or 5 years since they've been in it. And I would love to have a conversation with you, what your guys thought about these type of events that were included into that, into those models that were into, maybe we as a council can make an involvement, be involved with it, or have opinions on.
John, when you say transition events, do you mean any type of outreach events we're doing, or
outreach to the community?
Okay.
That includes other entities, and that includes even even community events that are from other departments at hand, like North Clackamas Parks music festivals or stuff like that that are easy to me to understand as an advocate, but maybe that may not have been communicated to council members before, or what has changed over the last 3 years, knowing that you guys are just ramping up these type of events. And also there's branding changes rather than going to a park or a convention or something in transition events that I see as a history changer to me in ways of what is the same and what is new in these type of events. And as council members, what can we do to support it? What advice would you guys like to take from it, and how we can move forward as you guys do your daily business and your opportunities and these type of opportunities to outreach to the community at large?
and you're including transition, like transition age as well when you say
I'm
transition?
taking transition. I see transition maybe, yes, as kids to adult.
Okay.
I'm also taking it as a branding change in events and management of how these communities come together and outreach to the public in a way that it may have a PC or a different way of communication to the public. So transition to me is community ODDS community partners coming together and talking to the community in ways of what programs they offer, for example. So anything around those areas would be a big help. I'm sorry I don't know the event exactly, but I do know that these things are starting up, and other community partners may or may not be involved with you guys, and how we can help at the council without it being too much of a gig and taking too much of our time, to what input you guys would like from us while you guys participate in these type of systems and events past the pandemic and what was in the past.
Okay, I can talk Dick's Colleen, do you want to talk about the event that you attended first?
Yeah, so Embark Credit Union held a transition event. They have their new corporate offices over here in Oak Grove, so close to me. And it basically is transitioned from youth kind of services to adults. But so Clackamas County DD, there was a supervisor there to answer people's questions. North Clackamas Parks had a representative there of someone that they have programs that they're developing for people, especially for people that are going from like middle school up, because a lot of stuff is focused on the younger kids. Edwards Center had someone there. There was a law office to be able to talk to people about like estate planning. There was it was a number of different kind of groups, like Exceed Enterprises was there to talk about helping people with work, employment kind of stuff. Able Account, so someone from the state was there to talk about that. And there was like Special Olympics and I think one other smaller group, but it was basically just to kind of their group in bold, some of their employees have, I think it was even their president or CEO has children that are developmentally delayed. And so this was his way of getting groups together to help talk to people. So it was just there for people to come in and talk and answer questions.
Cool. Very good to know that the council members being aware of these events and ways that we can contribute as a community. To me, for Clackamas County, I should raise my hand officially. I would love to know other opinions on what they thought about these type of events and how Clackamas County can move forward before I make my opinion. If there would be any opinions out there.
Well, I can say a little bit about what we've done in the past,
Okay.
because when the pandemic hit, we didn't do any of it. Like, it all pretty much went away.
Yeah.
Where we want to go into the future is probably another discussion to be had. But our intake and eligibility team has done a lot of our outreach for our program over the years. We would have done the Embark Credit Union one. We got somebody else to do that. So that just is something that was a more recent in-person event. We haven't had very many of those opportunities. Most of what we have participated in have been school transition nights or transition fairs, like at Lake Oswego. We've been to Heron Creek, Oregon City School District, New Urban. That's just within the last couple of months. We've done those, and we have done them on request. We've also done various presentations with agencies, pediatric offices, other agencies like behavioral health, folk rehab. We're talking to APD about doing some presentations for them. We've done presentations to LEAP staff, different school programs as we're invited. And we've participated in FACT events. We've been to that, is it the Tri-Ability that they used to have? Those things, anytime we're invited, we participate in all of those kinds of activities. And we did it a lot pre-pandemic. It's just starting again now. And then where do we want to move forward? Probably with the help of our equity policy and innovation team. We could talk about participating in events that really target certain populations and things like that. So we have a lot of room for improvement, and it's just moving forward, not going to fall on eligibility to do all of that outreach. It could include, lots of us, folks on the screen, folks on different teams. And so I do think that where we move forward with this will look different than kind of what we've done in the past.
How has it been, even though it's brand new? Any opinions out there before? How has it been different in community outreach in ways of community partners that may not be involved with ODDS services that might be interested in learning about this community and how and what services can or cannot help those with disabilities while you go to these type of events? Well, my not ace in the hole, but communities that are interested, like First Tees, like Dave Houston and others, how are they being informed on what your services are in ways of like a sports convention or a different type of atmosphere that might not be familiar with those with disabilities, but still want to include with those with disabilities in these type of event opportunities that might be able to communicate to what Clackamas County provides with the DD services, and those who may want to provide, those opportunities without being used or, abused, but still have those opportunities.
I would say they're not being informed. We've only really participated in outreach as we've known about it or been invited to it, but we have not done sort of targeted outreach, and that has been solely because we struggled to manage the volume that we already have coming through the front door, and it's been an intake and eligibility responsibility. That's why I say we have to have different discussions moving forward, because we don't have like a budget and funds to just do like campaigns and outreach all over the place. So I would say they wouldn't know about us unless they were seeking information about us.
I appreciate that, Stacy, in ways that I know community involvement is very important. Social inclusion of those with disabilities are very important. And, young adult and kids and geriatrics are important too, in ways of that communication with these events. Not disability law is sometimes different than elder law and other spaces. So I appreciate hitting this topic. Sarah, this is kind of for you in a way of January, where I would love to have more social inclusion for those with disabilities in ways that I wish we had that conversation more direct. But since I saw the event calendar coming up, I thought that might be a good transition for later conversations and spaces where we can have that. So I would love for opinions, if you guys have them, to Amy to give the chair and co-chair while we try to think of events, later on in other conversation spaces. Mimi, I saw your hand up real quickly. Was that a hand up, hand down thing, or was that another opinion?
Hello. Sorry, it was by mistake. Sorry.
All right, okay. So I don't know where to drive this conversation, but any opinions, are they even relevant in your life to go to these type of events? Colleen, it sounded like you went, so that's fantastic to hear. But that was another question I have for myself. Are these events relevant to your lives as people that serve those with disabilities? Yeah.
John, I'm sorry. Can I interrupt 1 second? I'm so sorry. I'm on a different computer and I'm trying to go back to where I can press on raise hand.
Oh, please.
So sorry. So I'll just
if you don't mind, I'm
raise
gonna
my
put.
hand. And now I've lost you, John. Sorry. I'm trying to navigate this different computer.
I appreciate it. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to navigate through services.
So my daughter's 20 and she is, I will say that Portland Parks and Rec is hosting a dance this Friday night.
Okay.
And I'm not sure what the age, I think the age might be 17 and up, maybe 18 and up. But that sort of thing we love.
Okay.
And when you were asking about if things like the transition event, if those are helpful, I will be honest and say that I don't always keep up with all the events that are coming up, because the great news is there are lots of really good things going on that can take up, a lot of our time. So I didn't see that one. Listed, but it sounds really good. And I appreciate forums like FACT or whatever forums where you can learn about different services and one-stop shopping, where you can go in and just hear multiple people talk about things that are relevant to our lives.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sarah, for that perspective. Sarah Lambert.
Hi. So my input is a little bit different. I would love to see more social activities for adults with developmental disability. I feel like once they transition out of like the kids programs or even the high school transition programs, they're kind of just out there. So as an adult foster provider, under my roof, my folks, have relationships and foster some friendships, but it doesn't always extend past that. And sometimes it's really hard because of privacy and whatnot for us to connect with other foster providers to kind of like have an avenue to get all of our folks on the same page to be able to do some kind of fun activity. And that's kind of been something that we've loosely talked about amongst ourselves, some of the providers that I know, about getting our folks together, especially in Clackamas County, where you don't have to worry about transportation as much as maybe, to Multnomah County or somewhere else. Getting like that comes to the top of my mind, you have the movie theater up here in Oregon City, and somehow getting together to have it be just, like a movie or a night where just, our folks get invited, or some kind of community activities, just, kind of where our folks can get together as adults, as adults. Cause I feel like for adults, they kind of get forgotten a little bit in that aspect. So that's all I have to say.
So I'm going to stand up twice, but if anyone else have an opinion before I stand up my second time, I would love to hear from you. Okay, so my second time is that how can we help you with the conversation, with these type of conversations? And I see Mimi, since I've spoken, I'm already standing up, unfortunately. But I wanted to make a point on that last comment. I would love to have a deeper conversation with the council in ways that adult events and kid events are sometimes with kids, but in multi-use communities. We had, I'm all for certain community inclusion, but on Sarah's comment on dancers, I did see an event that said 15 to 85 in youth
Yeah.
services in North Clackamas Park. And I'm not blaming North Clackamas Park. I don't, not on public record and putting that blame on there. But when you see that type of language, it sometimes takes you back from the past, even though it's done by others who may think that's just their brothers and sisters or whatnot, being a little bit older at 22 or 23 in ways that, you know, a 15-year-old different. And I love to have these type of community conversations back on what Sarah Lambert was pointing out. Yeah, in ways that adults should be treated like adults in some ways. But yes, mentorship is important. But honestly, I went to prom once or twice. That's all I needed in certain ways. And I admire national effort, but at a local level, I love, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I can accept that. But that's something that I would like to mention on Lambert, on Sarah's conversation in ways of my own as an advocate struggles going out there, because I've never been in that type of community in ways of this type of thing. So if they're needed as a council and as a community. But that is something that I needed to stand up on, you know, as for group provider homes and events. For me, I like a CEO event in a way that how to take care of you know, board of director meetings or a wine auction. I'm not saying wine, but you know, those things, those type of events there. But that's my own advocacy angle, and I will step off of that and go back to my Clackamas County hat right now on that. But I'm just saying, when we go through these type of events, please think about those who are adults and who are kids, who are teenagers, and etc. Sarah?
Yeah, I think the point is having options and targeting communities that don't have as many options and looking for ways. I agree with Sarah Lambert for sure. And because I have, like I said, my daughter's 20 and I'm looking at the years to come, you know, what's it going to look like? How many opportunities will be available for her for social events and things like that once she hits a certain age and her peer group hits a certain age. So I totally agree with Sarah as well.
All right, I'm gonna have to move on. If you don't, Mimi, would you hand up again on that? We need to go over Robert's Rule of Orders and other conversations. But I wanted to make sure that as we go past COVID, these transitions and events were communicated and were involved with. Mimi? Nope. Yes.
Hello, sorry,
Oh.
it's just my computer is not today cooperating, sorry.
Brooke. Yeah.
I may be speaking out of turn and offering something we can't actually fulfill, but I'm just wondering, and this might take a little time, but if we could invite like the North Clackamas person, like the person who comes up with the recreation, and just kind of, because I don't really know what, you know, what kind of programming dollars they have, what their focus is. They may not have kind of a direct line to the DD community to know what would be interesting to people. I don't know at all. They might, for all I know, but maybe we could invite someone to come just be our
Why
special
don't we
guest.
put that at the end of the meeting, like a fire danger part of a conversation, and we can move on to conversation and continue our agenda on roles and responsible CDD roles and advisory boards.
Sounds good.
So well, next part of our agenda is the roles and responsibilities of CDDP roles and advisory boards and purposes of advisory and Robert's Rule of Orders. And it says CDDP staff was going to update us on that.
I think with this one, we just, I think we wanted to talk about kind of what the meeting should look like and how, the Clackamas County DD staff are kind of our role on the advisory board. So that's one thing that we wanted to talk about, and also having a Robert's Rules of Order backup person. So if there's somebody who's, I can't remember exactly who, but I know there's a couple of people on here who are super familiar with it. So if we could, if they would be interested in being like, you know, kind of letting us know when we're supposed to vote on something and how that should occur to kind of help us navigate the Robert's Rules of Orders a bit better. I don't want to put you on the spot. I think it was Colleen. I think you are a person who knows a lot about Robert's Rules of Order. I may be wrong. If I am, sorry. And then also we talked about maybe having like a timekeeper, so to make sure that we just stay on track. So somebody to say, hey, you know, we're coming up and we have 3 minutes left on this topic or something like that to kind of keep us on track.
Yeah. So if there would be someone that might be able to do that, as I know I'm going to be a little bit off in this conversation by 2 or 3 minutes, but that would be great. As you saw in the last meeting, I had a knock on the door and I passed it to the co-chair. And co-chair, unfortunately, I just saw a meeting, you know, that may not be there today. I hope that everything's okay, but we need a backup on things like that. And even people who've been in other meeting situations that might be able to remind the chair and other situations that we've been in life. It would be really nice if we had a backup on that in this thing, if anyone would like to do that.
I've been on boards forever, so I've probably seen all the rules and gone through them. I'm the president on a few boards, so I can certainly help.
That'll be fantastic. Thank you, Colleen. I appreciate it greatly. Even while we're going through certain heated moments, it helps to know that sometimes Clackamas County can't make an opinion on certain things in my own thing. Though this is not the reason why we called this, because it was in the agenda before the last meeting. It's nice to know that we have other perspectives into the rules and how to run things. What did you guys want from us in the ways that Clackamas County was participating in the Robert's Rule of Order before I moved off to the next topic?
I guess I don't recall that we had any requests from
I think I know where I messed up on. That was on me, Kim. It's a CDP role on advisory board. So how can we help you with that part of it? In a way, the CDP roles on advisory board and purpose of advisory boards on the agenda. So what topic were we supposed to talk about that as Robert's Rule of Orders have now been, we do have a backup on that.
Right. And I'm gonna ask my colleagues to speak up if they recall differently. I think there was just the ensuring that we know our role as being on here. You know, we obviously we'll bring topics and hear topics, but our role on the board, or we don't have a role on the board, but is to try to ensure that the program is being supported and that we're staying connected to the community, but not so much of like necessarily saying we're going to engage in and jump into a whole bunch of new and different things. It's just reporting kind of on how our program is and what direction we want to go. But I don't know, Stacy, do you have anything else there?
I think we wanted to make sure that people knew our role. Like, we would bring things to the board that we want feedback on, things like that. But it doesn't mean that the board makes the decision on what the final decision, but we definitely are seeking input from you all, the community, or different perspectives as things are coming up in our program. Right. And then we're also here to bring information to you all that you want to know about. In order to do that, we're going to need to know ahead of time, like what it is you might want to know about. For example, when the fiscal year ends and I compile all the eligibility data for a fiscal year, might you want to be interested in our enrollment? And, you know, some of that demographics and the data and how fast our program is growing and, you know, different things like that. And if that interests you or those topics interest you as a board and we know about it, then we can plan ahead to bring that kind of information to you as well. So it goes a little bit both ways. But we're also not all about, like we've talked a lot about legislative stuff here. And so we have certain levels of involvement, but a lot we just wait for direction. And so we remain neutral on quite a few topics. We're in a position where we don't advocate one way or another. And so we don't get as heavily involved in legislative activities, I want to say, as maybe some people might think that we do. And we just wanted to clarify sort of, you know, what the board can expect of us and what kinds of things we would bring to you. And
I understand a little bit
Yeah.
better. At least it was on the schedule before, you know,
Yeah.
last meeting. Any questions on that in front of the council? Nope. Okay, so my question on the advocacy side will be, there's been a lot of frustration in advocacy and communications without two advocates around the community and ODDS partners, including the CDDP programs. How are they being informed with certain aspects of change, and how can they express their frustration in a manner that's not an intimidating place, in ways that you guys can hear their opinions, in ways that you may or may not be able to take action? And how can they navigate through life if the county programs are unable to take action on anything till later in the process? That might not have an answer right now. I might have a neutral answer, but I would have liked to ask that in a way that they deserve to be involved with Clackamas County as a whole sometimes. They being people with disabilities. If it's a neutral answer, I understand, but I just want to make sure that their frustrations can be heard in community events. And that's the only note that I would like to probably put forward, was knowing that political policy concern can only go till implemented and given out. And there's a lot of community events out there, but if Clackamas County likes a lot of input and stuff like that, there's not really a place for them to put the concerns on sometimes. And you guys already hear that a lot, I'm sure, but I said what I needed to say. But it would be nice to know a place where they can navigate those changes through CDDP programs. And I understand what you guys are saying, and sometimes we need reminders, including myself, who's been in there saying, that should be an easy change right there, you know, sometimes. So I appreciate you guys telling us your role and reminding us of that. Sasha. Sorry, I should have wrote my hand. Sorry, Sasha. I should have wrote my hand as that being my speech for advocate rather than chair.
Yeah, that's great. I guess I just need some clarification on, like, are we saying that this is not a forum that is welcoming and it's intimidating to people to show up to give that feedback?
I'm saying that because there's no answer in the past, there's no answer in the future, and Clackamas County sometimes can only go on the neutral form of conversation. So sometimes we don't know what works and what does not in that type of place. At least for the way that we are, let me get back to my notes. As the responsibility in advisory boards and other places, because really people with disabilities never had to stay or where you know, to be in these type of environment before. So that's not, I'm not pointing out on any one angle. I'm just saying that we need to find solutions in between later on, where Clackamas County can only go so far with the precedent that they're under. And someone like myself as an advocate, I've had other, like I tell Fair Boys or others, I have other options. And it's not that I know Fair Boys, but I have other options out in the community. And sometimes Clackamas County needs a place to maybe listen to other options that others have gone through. And I understand why they cannot because, in this environment, but that's what I'm going to point out now. But I know it doesn't make sense what I'm doing. I'm not doing a perfect execution right now, Sasha, but it's trying to understand they want all this input, but there's no way the input can be executed sometimes. And that's the frustration that I found in the last meeting that you and I had in ways of it should be done this way, this way, this way. And I totally not agree, but I totally see where we mention a guest, for example, and Clackamas County can't have a position on it. But then if there's another angle for that guest to come, if we approve or not approve of it as a council, to me, solutions that are there, but sometimes can't be implemented. And we have to be reminded by Clackamas County sometimes why those ideas cannot be presented as an advocate even.
Yeah, I mean, I guess our role as advisors is to come up with a specific proposal of a thing that we would want to see changed. And then their role is to tell us what they're planning on doing and changing. And so if there's specific ways that we can make this a more welcoming place for the advocates you mentioned to come and provide that feedback, or if we can be a conduit if they're unwilling or uncomfortable saying those specific criticisms, I think that would be a really helpful way for us
And
to
I'm not
move
speaking on
forward.
behalf of advocates on my side, Sasha. Still, I see your hand.
Okay.
I need to explain very clearly. I have not that much clue of Clackamas County programs and advocates. And we've had that conversation before a couple of months ago that we may have to round about the circle in a couple of months, hopefully with guidance and other research that may need to be researched on how to make a comfortable environment for them. I have my experience being, not in services for such a long time, but it's not about me. It's about Clackamas County and what they are able to get in an advisory panel versus what is needed into what they can provide in services to what they need to stay neutral on because of the positions that were in hand and why we made this a topic point in the roles and responsibilities of CDDPs. So that's not in my hands, Sasha. That's up to Clackamas County on how to make a comfortable environment in a way of a neutral space that Clackamas County provides input or output or other directions of service changes. It might be on a Donna Leash, or it might be other people that they can invite that we maybe can have that type of conversation. Yeah.
I was just going to ask, if you attend like a school board meeting, you can voice your concerns or your opinion, but the board can't really give you a solution or anything, when you're there. So I know that we have the opportunity to have guests come in and express their concerns. Do we have an email that they could email in if they're not comfortable coming and like showing their face here and being recorded? Or if somebody has concerns, they could email in and we could look at it and then, I don't know, address it later. I know that with most boards or meetings that I've ever attended, you basically just are expressing yourself. You don't really get a solution while you're there. It's just something that, the board or council can think about later. But it is nice to have an option to write in if they're uncomfortable coming here in person. That was just my 2 cents.
Do we have that noted and take a vote later? Or do we have that option?
I think I'm a contact info on our website. So if people have specific concerns, they can reach out to me, or if they want to attend or want information on the meetings. I think that's what we have listed now. I haven't received anything like that, but I would imagine that would be a starting place.
So if anyone has any advice on wanting to appear on as a guest they can contact Amy, or if they have an opinion on advisory concerns. One thing that I was really maybe gonna ask is maybe we should all during break or whatnot, make what we call a program clock, and what you guys dream of with accessory ideas, like a 5-minute space for people to come on that come from the programs. But we can talk about that maybe in June's meeting before our break, and talk about that and the role that CD, because Clackamas County needs to put their opinions in there too, and other things rather than just myself and putting ideas. Mimi? Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, this time I have a question or suggestion. I like so the concern, like representing the Clackamas County providers, I have some suggestions or concerns how things have been done regarding licensing. Is this the right place to say these things or not?
Definitely a place to put these things, schedule wise. Maybe we can make that Amy's thing, or just absolutely on topic of what we're talking about right now.
It's not the topic, or I can.
I'm sure that is a great topic, but I don't know if it's right for right now on GDP.
Okay.
But I do think this is where the communications we need to contact Amy and these ideas, so we can plug it in and understand CDP roles on that. Another thing that on the roles and Robert's Rule of Orders on my side, I want to move on to fire danger, and then I'll go to the safety update on it on the next topic. Is that as chair, it's very hard to know what the bylaws are in ways of my own maneuvers around the community. For example, I was invited to go to a Junior Road Festival parade, not this year, last year in particular. And as someone who tries to follow Robert's rules and bylaws and other ideas, it was very complicated in ways that I could have met the people, but I did not want to walk on a behalf because I was part of Clackamas County Council. So that's other conversations that we will need to know the roles of advisory council members versus the staff versus, someone who's the chair of these type of positions that I would like to note for today that we have further conversations, as we only had 15. I'm already over by 10 minutes. Amy?
I was just gonna say, Mimi, we have room at the around 5:45 for the open floor. So maybe bring your question or concern up then. We certainly want to hear it. So just want to let you know, open floor about 5:45.
Absolutely, Mimi. Please put that back in since we did have that time. Hopefully I won't overstep.
Okay, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I'll do that.
I'll try to remember not to overstep. Stacy, do you want to go on Medicaid redetermination reports in ways that we are going through redetermination now, or do you want to talk about the fire danger?
You want to wait until you get home? Or if you're too hungry, you can eat.
I want to mute. Yeah, thank you.
There we go. I'm not prepared to talk about fire danger, but I can very quickly talk about the when we created the agenda, you asked me to give people an update on what's happening with Medicaid redeterminations and how how we were communicating with families about, or individuals about what's happening with these renewals. And so it shouldn't take me very long to explain. But we are getting consistent lists of information from ODDS about, okay, first of all, everybody's going to need to have their Medicaid renewed after after the public health emergency was lifted, and it's going to happen in different phases or rollouts. But we are getting lists from ODDS directly, helping us sort of target our outreach to individuals and families so they know when their Medicaid redetermination is happening, things like that. And so just in the past week, I can tell you, we received a list from ODDS about people who will have a renewal over the next year, who when their renewals come up, they might be over-resourced. So that could be a problem with their Medicaid renewal. And we have all the service coordinators know which individuals those are, and we're given information about how they might outreach and support families with this or individuals with the process. When ODDS starts a renewal process, we get these active renewal lists. I believe we will get them monthly, possibly, because they can't do everybody at once, but we got one in May, and all of those, so we were notified of who's in that active renewal process, and we're reaching out. Then we got a list of people who had received a request for additional information in order to complete their renewal, called an RFI. And so that's the Medicaid office reaching out saying, we need something, maybe verification of income, maybe something else. We received that list of people. All of those 3 things came last week and all at once. And so service coordinators are reaching out to families and support them. Today, we got a list of people who have received renewals who have not been responsive to those requests. So now we can target outreach to those families. So there's more communication than I had anticipated in this process, but we're getting them. I mean, we're doing our best to reach out to either families, individuals, providers, payees, guardians, whoever might be responsible for helping people with that renewal process to make sure they understand the importance of it, completing the renewal timely, because if they don't, it could impact their services. So that's my update. And people can ask questions if they have questions about that.
Dasha?
Yeah, thanks for that update. So just so that I can clarify the history here, in Oregon before 2020, you qualified for Medicaid on the basis of income, or you could qualify as a determination of your disability. And then that changed, but then the pandemic was happening at the same time. And so then we all went to the one determination process. And then, people kind of had to be subjected to that, I would say. The one determination process is quite lengthy, especially when before it was just, are you on DD services? Yes, no, okay. And now, that's ending. So these folks who you're saying, like, haven't done their renewals or anything like that, is there understanding in the county that this process has changed and that people may not understand that out in the community?
Yes, and that's part of our outreach, to make sure they understand that it's through the one system now, that it's changed, and people, that one system, there's still struggles. We struggle with it every day. Service coordinators spend a ton of time communicating directly with the folks at ODDS who are assisting with this process. And and that's part of that targeted outreach, to make sure they understand what has changed, and that really that a lot of this process happens directly through this one system. And it's complicated. It's complicated.
It's also, since I'm here to share my opinion, I will share that I also find it very insulting and degrading, because my son qualifies for Medicaid on the basis of his disability, but the one system is set up to determine an income-based determination for every single member of the household. So it's collecting massive amounts of data that I'm not at all assured is going to be secure. We've had several leaks of my son's personal information in government leaks. So it's very frustrating, and to me, yet another way in which the system kind of puts families of disability families as a second-class citizen. Very frustrating. So I just have to air that grievance.
Yeah. You're right. They do a financial process first, and it is asking people. Yes, you're right. You're right. And you're right. So, and we, at our moments, we share with ODDS the struggles families are facing, and we share this information with people, and hopefully through advocacy, you are all sharing it as well. This has been one of the most challenging transitions to a new system that I have ever seen. And we're right now, one of the things we're doing here as a county program too is trying to establish some contacts at our local APD office who might be able to help us better navigate directly, because we can't even see into the system. We don't get into the system. We work on the outside of the system. So we rely on folks in other agencies to be able to access or see that information. Families can probably see a lot more than we can individually. Yeah, it makes it challenging.
Challenging, we have all that information all at once. I know when I go to various services on the other edge, everyone gets to keep all that information. And it's frustrating that it's one program. And that's, and a classmate or former classmate is on a whole different other department, and that information being not compromised, but that type of information may or may not be between the department that you use in the services or not. Sarah, I did see your hand up, and I'm gonna put it up to another about 3 minutes. And we really do need to talk about fire danger and stuff, and the guests that Lisa had in mind. In a way of, I also found the name of Joni for Clackamas Park there. So in a way that we need to approve some guest lists named before 5:45. But I did want to go, Roxanne. Did you have a small little thing? I know it's probably a bigger thing seeing your head raised, but that would be interested or in this conversation that could give us better perspective. So you just were agreeing that some of the edges on your own personal side that might be personal.
Regarding the one system?
Yeah, one system of owner to all the other stuff that we have, in this type of conversation based on redetermination.
Oh, I was just agreeing. Yeah, the system is built, like, I don't want to say that it's purposely difficult to make it so people are less likely to access services, but I would say as someone who I don't have an intellectual disability or a developmental disability, and even to me, it's complicated. So I'm not going to put that out there that I think that, but it seems like it's more difficult than it has to be.
Database management and other edges is hard to fight for when we're dealing with the system we are doing today. So that's something that, on my mind on that side. Personally. Just please put your opinion, and we have to go to fire danger and preparedness and Clackamas County responses on that, and then get some guests approved by the council, and then we can continue on with Mimi's concern at 5:45, hopefully.
Sure, I'll make it quick. I will say I could spend about an hour on this opinion for all this because, yeah, totally agree with Shasta, totally agree with Roxanne. It feels very discriminatory against families, let alone the person who experiences the disability. And but anyway, just very quickly, Stacy, my daughter, her when I go online, it says her eligibility is due in November. Does that mean that, does that stick? So we don't have to necessarily worry about it until a little bit later in this year? Or is it going to come up sooner because of the change back to?
Well, I believe you might get notified sooner, but your date, if you can look up your date, that's probably accurate. I believe we'll get notified like 3 months in advance. At least of that.
Okay, good.
So yeah. And the only thing we can see or service coordinators can see is when we go into our system, we get one Medicaid line with the dates, but we don't get to see any of the information behind it. And those are the dates that we rely on as well. So
okay. And I want to make just a very quick comment, and this is not Medicaid, but this is SSI. And I received a letter. I'm my daughter's rep payee, and I received a letter saying that it was time for an interview, and this was back in March 17th, and they gave you the window of time, and you have to be available for that window. I was available for that window. I didn't step away from my phone for a second. No one called, so I called them and said, "Hey, I was here," and then, they gave me the number of the person to call. I left her several voicemails and said, "I'm ready. I will be available whenever you call me, whatever you need. I'm here." It's been 2.5 months. I have called them repeatedly. I have received nothing more in the mail. I have, so I have an online account, but so I go on periodically and just check to make sure that they haven't terminated her her benefit because they couldn't reach me or something like that. But that's seems common in trying to get and maintain benefits for your child who, or any adult or child who is entitled to these benefits. So yeah, I totally understand, Shasta. I'm with you.
Yeah. I know for something that helped me is there's an eligibility number, knowing how your case is doing, that the SSI and SSDI does for Oregon. Can't remember the right words right now, but it really helps when there are spam callers out there in ways that you can report them in ways of seeing if it was a real call or not a real call while you go through your eligibility process. And then in that, they can kind of tell you your process, you know, where they are, if you're still a green light or yellow light or whatever it may be that I'm using as official. But yeah, it's the whole thing needs to be communicated, and that's the main point of why I wanted to go, knowing that, you know, post-pandemic re-eligibility in the conversation was important for me to see where Clackamas County is and what they need, and how it's maybe even different than the ONA or, you know, one or Oregon buys is a whole other thing on grant, but you know, just to know how Clackamas County fit on it. So if it's a topic of interest, please, you know, contact Amy, and we can hopefully have other conversations with that within the year or next year or two or whatever, you know, where we can place that. And maybe if you have any guests in mind, we do need to approve them at the council to some point in some ways, but not really in some ways. We're still trying to figure that out. But I wanted to get into national disasters, nuclear bombs, in ways of preparedness of Clackamas County and services, to lighter topics like fire danger, in ways of you know, us maybe having a break in June and July. So I wanted to get Clackamas County response on how they were preparing themselves for that. And then Lisa had someone in mind. I want Amy to remind me to call for a vote, and then I'll give my North Clackamas Clerk reference, just, you know, with it to you guys to approve of. But it was the fire chief of Clackamas County. Hopefully we can get a letter out so they can talk to us as a council after this part of the conversation, what Clackamas County can do when that month meeting for 15 minutes or so. So please, Clackamas County, if you can tell me where your goals are on fire danger, how you guys learned your lessons from the last round, and how we can continue that conversation for next month's meeting in a way that we, if the council approves the fire chief that Lisa was referring to, for invite or another guest, that'll be great.
Okay, I will say that we're very excited to have Lisa's connection, the fire chief, come and speak with the council. So our program, of course, is part of a division, which is part of a department, which is part of the overall county. The overall county has a disaster management program that when an emergency happens, there are certain criteria that then they open up an emergency operations center. Social services is so well connected with the vulnerable people that we serve in Clackamas County. So we actually keep in close contact with the EOC, or the Emergency Operations Center, during disasters. We're not fully responsible for everything that is provided to residents and citizens, but we definitely can help people connect with the EOC and needed resources. Our program has an emergency preparedness work group that talks about all emergencies that could happen for folks, given that we've seen, you know, a few pretty devastating ones in a short amount of time. That work group puts together resources and information and sends them out monthly to individuals and families and services. We're also, as a program, at people's annual meetings and ONA assessments, we're doing kind of a brief assessment of people's emergency preparedness and or risk. So, and then we're documenting that in our files, and service coordinators can add information to that too. We're just trying to kind of get a list so that if a disaster happens, depending on the area, depending on the disaster, we have a list of folks based on their risk level, and those will be the folks that we get in touch with the quickest, the soonest. So and it starts a conversation with people about what they need. in the event of an emergency, and what we're seeing out there, right? So the people who are doing those assessments right now are the ONA assessors. A lot of service coordinators are involved in those meetings as well. So we're getting that information. What else will I say about that? We also on a department level, which is H3S, that's Health, Housing, and Human Services, there is a work group being put together to talk about kind of operating procedures once an emergency happens, and how all the different programs will be operating, and who will, you know, defining roles of who will be in charge, what expectations there are of staff during those kinds of things. So it's all preliminary, but it is all kind of in response to the emergencies that we've had in the last few years. So it's happening at multiple levels. Kim, do you have a question?
I just wanted to also add on to that we in our where she was talking about, where Brooke was talking about doing the identifying risks and things, we have the ability now to be able to run reports that show us those risks, and are able to give us the detail about where people are located, depending on what that situation is. So if it's a fire or the ice, you know, if we know locations, we can run reports and be able to now pull out from addresses and stuff. And that we are also working with ODDSR on the GIS. So don't ask me what GIS stands for. You get global something, but it's mapping. So it'll allow us to be able to see very quickly, hopefully. We're still not quite in it yet, but we're working on getting into it to hopefully be prepared for this fire season, to be able to see in real time where locations are on a map, along with where events are occurring. So we will know, have a better idea. So lots of things in the works, and hopefully will have us be better prepared.
Jeff, you have a response?
I do, and sorry, you're gonna hear my dogs bark in the background. Somebody's coming into the house, so forgive me for that. This is actually pretty close to home. We have all been through a lot of emergencies and disasters and whatnot in the last few years, and so being in Oregon City, we evacuated 3 times our foster home with the fire. You know, we went away, and then we thought it cleared, so we came back, and then nope, what? Another one started, so we went away again, and then we lost power for several days during the ice storm. I mean, we got hit back to back to back, kind of, and we've all lived through COVID, so you know, we've all experienced these. And I have to say that the best plan on paper, and no disrespect at all, because emergencies, you guys, we just wing it, you know, and we do our best we can, but they don't ever seem to necessarily like work in the time frame. I'd love to find a way to actually have it work out for, and my window is just being a foster provider. I mean, luckily we were prepared, and we, you know, we just kind of think ahead, and we were able to have a lot of resources, and we have, you know, family that also are foster providers, and we networked and we made it work, and our people were super happy and safe, and it worked out for us. But my biggest concern in any disaster, and I've talked about this for years, is medications. And I really, really, really would love to find a solution for having an extra 2 weeks, a month supply of medications, because I'm going to tell you right now, when you're evacuating from a fire, and you know, Medicaid is only approved so many days worth of meds, and your pharmacy says, well, I only have 3 days for you because I haven't got my approval, and now you have to leave. That's terrifying, especially if you have people that, you know, seizure medications, diabetes, like really, really life-saving medications. We have to come up with a better way to get a supply. And I've heard excuses over the 20 years I've been doing this. Well, foster providers, you know, they may not be responsible enough to cycle through the meds, or this or that. That is not accurate. I mean, that's silly excuses to not solve the problem. So I would love to be a part of solving that problem, because it's kind of scary if you have to evacuate and you only have a couple of days worth of meds for your folks. So That's
Thank you.
something experienced.
I appreciate it in ways of trying to widen up the conversation. Hopefully we will have a guest that comes. Any other comments concerning fire preparedness that may have your concern that Clackamas County needs to prepare for in ways of advice? Okay. Maybe some can think about education and other edges in ways that may relate to your later in conversation as well. It's really hard. My issue with Clackamas County is where to go. I mean, the news can only take you so much, but for those with disabilities, I don't know if those advocates who are self-determined know where to go. And I also don't know if they're allowed to go. In certain ways, because it's over 80 degrees, you know, some environments are not supposed to go out. You know, I don't know how the rules have changed in ways of when it is a county disaster, in ways of services and how we implement services that way. The biggest thing for me, another thing that I felt insulted was there was more options during this last season for places to go if you had an RV or if you had a exterior truck or something that was considered a second living home. As someone with disabilities, you're not supposed to own more than one motor vehicle, even when you can afford it from the ABLE plan. So to me, I would be much safer if I was, you know, self-determined. If I went to, say, the Clackamas Town Center or other places, and while I got my daily call from my SG or PGA or whatnot in ways. So having those options and knowing with leaders around town of preparedness and everything would be a big help in fire danger, ice danger, nuclear disasters, and other things. I know you can't really direct us exactly, you know, for legal reasons, but a place to know, you know, if we can go to another state and still receive health care, for example, during that time, in ways that, or go to another county in some sense, and how to cross services sometimes if it's going to be more than 6 months. Those are things that that I would like to have conversation, considerations, and advice that I found during the fire season that I personally found in ways of concern in Clackamas County, because it's an easy answer to some, but very hard for some with disabilities who still, you know, do not have those options like others. So I appreciate this based on that. I do want to hit Mimi's topic. So again, Amy, do we need approval of council on guest list like the fire chief or other ideas as leadership? Because I do want to point out to council that we are thinking of those people. And then I had one more guest suggestion that I wanted to tell Sarah and everyone. And then we could do that on the side if we do not need council approval.
I'm gonna defer to Colleen. Colleen, do we need to vote on a particular guest to come to one of the meetings?
I don't think you would need to.
All right.
Okay.
That's fine with me. Another place that I had, you guys were asking about the North Clackamas Park. There's a person named Joni Glenn or Glenn Joni, and I would like to propose. She's part of the North Clackamas Park district when we did have that issue with the dance thing. But I also would like further research on her boss and on that on North Clackamas Park, so we can have that conversation that you were referring to on guests and North Clackamas Park in particular. If you think of any other guests or other people in mind, outside resources to, you know, even that stuff, please contact Amy and we can get that concentrated conversation for 20 minutes, 15 minutes on another time set so we can have that conversation. So let's just say I tried my best, but I would think that conversation space for North Clackamas Park would be great. Anyway. All right, we are hitting near 5:45. Yep, I'm hitting the right time. It's open for Mimi. First of all, I have to ask the public officially if they have any comment they would like to make, or Amy, did anyone in the public contact you for comment in this space?
We don't have anybody from the public here today.
Understandable. I just need to say the words and moving on. But Mimi, you had a specific concern that you wanted to ask in the space. We do have a time of 15 minutes to to have that conversation. What was it that you had concerns, and how can I best facilitate this conversation with Clackamas County and what this concern may be?
Yeah, it's about licensing, and for the last 10 plus years, when Nancy and Brooke later were licensing our licenses, it was so once we have the date, designated date for the licensing, and then for me, for example, it could be January 25, and at that time I would have 3 months ahead to prepare for my licensing. Everything has to be prepared, and then I'll be ready on that day. And then 2 or more licensor would come, review the documents, and then they would give us plan of improvement so that we can improve the things that's found needs to be improved. And then we'll work on that in a specific time, and then we'll reply with our improvements, and then they will accept it. And then it was fairly quickly, we will get our license back, like maximum a month or something like that. But now, after COVID, maybe, I would have to like, things were not perfect too, but at the same time, for example, for my January 25 license, still didn't get my license, we're in May. So it's been the way it's, I don't know what changed, but I wish like once we do the licenses, the POI, either the licensor, the caseworker, whoever it is, they can come and monitor us in a regular basis, could be quarterly. And what I'm seeing right now, it's so like we have to, so once they come and see like surprise visits, and then once they found something, they would add on the POI, and it's pushed and pushed every month. It's been 5 months now. So my wish and my concern is the more we push it every month, we have to have extensions for our service payments. We have to ask again every month, can you please extend me? And then I don't know what's changed for all this delay. And it's not only me, there are several providers that has frustrations, because like we want to renew our licenses and move on with our daily activities. And then so on top of that, we are serving our clients and dealing with hiring and firing staff, everything, this stress is adding more stress on our jobs. And it's been, especially for so when we ask, okay, this is when they say you need to fix this, okay, I did not know that. So in Multnomah County, I have other providers I communicate with. I have like monthly informative meetings. So that way we would know what's changed every time when there is a change in service, and we'll be happy to know, to be informed, to make the change that needs to be done. So that it's not, it's uncomfortable. It's like our license is like not being renewed for this couple of like months. And so my question is, what's the change from the previous years? And is there any way it could be improved so that we can do our job, relax, and then like, you know what I mean? So that's my main concern for now. Thank you.
So I don't know that I have an answer for you. Hang on one second. Sorry. I do have, I mean, my field is one of the parts of the program is the licensors. And so as far as process change, there's been change, you know, at the state level that isn't communicated effectively, and then impacts us. And so it's kind of a trickle down effect. So I'd say that there's probably been multiple things that are impacting, just especially in like the last year or so. So not to say that, you know, we don't So I'm not dismissing that these things are not issues, because they are. They're issues across the board. And so we are definitely looking to try to improve. We've had turnover, the state's had turnover. We've all been struggling through COVID. And I think some of what we're experiencing right now is all of the things that got, what's the word I want to use, that kind of got just, your license just got renewed and through COVID. So without all of the reviews and everything, we're now being responsible to catch up to the whole entire, we've been still in a catch-up phase and along with transitions. So that's some of it. Again, that's parts of contributing. And also some of it is that we are or have been with brand new staff. So we have brand new staff that are trying very hard to work hand in hand with the state to make sure we're doing it right. So we do get a lot of feedback from the state that says, no, now you need to go back to the provider with this. And so we're on a learning curve with some of those things that you're seeing that are changing as well. So we're learning them in the moment when they're, we submit to the state. So we don't issue your license. The state does. The state's been backlogged. They're working on it. They're getting much better and much faster. But we are also in that kind of learning phase with you of saying, here's their POI, here's everything we thought they need. And they come back to us and go, nope, you need to get this and you need to get that. So we have some growing pains on our own here at the with Clackamas County DD licensing. And then the growing pains with the state of them coming in and kind of issuing these in the moment. No, that's not sufficient. So that's some of it. And I agree. I would like to see that that we could go in, do a licensing, submit the paperwork, and have timely communications happening back and forth. And so that's our goal, and we're working really hard with. So now we have a new supervisor in place. We're very sad to lose Nancy, but she moved on. So we do have a new supervisor in place who's really quickly establishing really good relationships at ODDS with the licensing unit. And so I'm hoping we'll start to see some progress. And like I said, I know the state's been working diligently to try to catch up. And so I'm hoping we'll see progress on that side too, is that with our regular communications with ODDS and ODDS being able to respond more timely, that we will be able to do so as well. But I'm also open to ideas. I don't know about monthly meetings, but I think we have quarterly foster care provider meetings right now, that if the foster provider community is definitely seeking more than that or different avenues, that would be open to that feedback to try to see how we can build that up. I know that the ARPA grant that Brooke is working, is going to be working for, hopefully will help build some relationships and trainings and opportunities for providers as well as us. And also that, what was I going to say? I was going to say something and it just went away. Apologize. It'll come back to me. But yeah, that we know we definitely want to hear from providers. We're hoping we did do the newsletter as well. So hopefully if people are getting the newsletter, they're finding some of that helpful to try to help with some of the things that they're running into. Just little things like that is just ways that we're hopefully are trying to get communication out to people, versus waiting for us to show up at your house for a licensing and be like, oh, and here's this new thing now. So
about 4 more minutes or so. Mimi, I appreciate the topic point. Definitely mention if you need any newsletter suggestions or things that on your end that might be helpful for Clackamas County as we communicate to ODDS and the other community partners. And wherever the ARPA funds are, we may need another conversation after the June, July debate on how that's going in ways of what you're talking about versus other services. And then I'm gonna go Sarah, then I had my real hand up in ways as I transfer to chair. Sarah, go ahead, please.
Yes, I just wanted to chime in on that too, Mimi. I completely agree. And Kim, I wanted to say what I experienced. I actually got my renewal. So my license was last August, and it's usually in August at some point. And I actually got my renewal a month before I even got my license for last year. And I was having communication every couple months. I needed something new. I needed something new. One of them that kind of struck me as I don't even know what the word, but I had at the beginning of my license last year, all of my background checks were submitted in a timely fashion, anyone that needed renewed. And it took so long to process my license that some of the other ones that wouldn't have needed it until the next year popped up again. And then it delayed it even further. But that was the license that had happened, you know, in just that year. But because the state's so backed up, it's like every few months, like quarterly, we're doing new things for the license that shouldn't have normally happened. You know, you look at that year, you're done, you address it the next year. It wasn't. They just kept bouncing it back for new things that were just now coming up as needing to be renewed. So how can that stop? Because otherwise we're just doing monthly licensing, basically, you know. So I wish that on their level, you know, they could just keep it right, you know, in the lane that it should be. Oh, this was for this year. Because it's just tedious, I'm sure, for everybody, including the licensing department.
Yeah. Imagine if, I mean, you're one home and you're doing it that a licensor has 10 homes in a month and they have 10 homes every month. I mean, yeah, I totally agree with you. And like I said, we've communicated that back and forth with them, is that we send them stuff and it's weeks or months before, and it's getting a lot better. And hopefully our next renewal cycles will not be the same experience of what you're seeing that's happened over the last year-ish, year and a half, I think, with what's happened with the backlog. But we experienced a very similar thing of sending them stuff. And then, like you said, they'd come back and it'd be 3 weeks or 4 weeks or a month after we'd submitted something, and it'd be like, oh, you need this. And then we'd get it and we'd send it back, and then be another 4 weeks. It's like, oh, now you need this. And so, yeah, I'm really optimistic that they are developing a system on their end that will help. And of course, Aspen is our system that's the bane of everyone's existence. And so hopefully with the improvement in the new system that's coming in 2024, I believe 2024, at the end of that year, will significantly expedite things, so that when things get sent and they can be it'll just be able to be processed a lot faster. Providers hopefully will be having access so they can be getting in and submitting things. So fingers crossed on that. I'm sorry, I don't have a thing that says it'll be fixed tomorrow, but there are things that I think are happening that with time will hopefully alleviate many of the experiences that you're having with
So
the
we have
delays.
2 more minutes in the meeting. Like I said, Mimi and others, please contact Amy if you have other topic points. It's fine. Everything's good, and I appreciate this conversation. On my side, on this one, you guys have like a quality asset manager or quality manager like the owner does in ways of approval for licenses that are new to the job, and ways to overcheck, you know, the process and, you know, improvement to the system.
Do you mean training, like core competency training for licensors?
In ONA, there's a main manager that does quality in certain things on your end, Stacey. On Kim's side, is there someone like that on their side real quickly? And then I do want to ask about the in-person meeting that staying over the Clackamas County progression on in-person meetings and virtual stuff. So that was my question. And if one person has another question, we might have time for that.
So the licensors don't have core competencies, but they do have, they do work closely with the unit that the DD licensing, foster care licensing unit. So they're and we're really working hard to have regular meetings with them. But no, foster care does not currently have core competencies.
Thank you very much for saying the professional work. I'm gonna have to extend the council meeting by 3 minutes, guys. But Sasha, please.
Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, just really quick, I was just thinking that could we encourage case managers to send out the meeting time and the existence of this council in their monthly letters, and that might encourage people, or at least let them know that such a forum exists for them to bring up concerns. At least on the relevant months that we're having a meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I'm gonna go before Amy leaves. I know you have to leave right now, but I would like to note on virtual spaces or not. You can leave now